gotta stand up. Take your country back. Amen. Take your country back. They're dying left and right. They're gonna kill us. Take your country back.
You are fake news. Go ahead.
And welcome to FLT, All Things Truth, episode number 8. And we got a lot to talk about. Today is September 12th. Yesterday was 9/11, and it seemed like people just forgot about the whole thing. Let's hold on to that thought though. Let's get with the quote of the week. Quote of the week comes from Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike. Pretty interesting book, by the way. He wrote, "Intellect is to the people and the people's force what the slender needle of the compass is to the ship. Its soul always counseling the huge mass of wood and iron and always pointing to the north." So I just read that and I thought that's an interesting quote, because intellect is what drives our ideology. It's what drives our ideas and our thoughts and what we do in our society, our culture. It's intellect. That is the needle. That is the compass needle. Is our intellect.
Absolutely.
And right now in this world we're living right now, it seems like there's two compasses. There's the moral compass of conservative libertarians, and then there's the other compass, people on the left that think that they're driven by equality, egalitarianism, collectivism. So I don't know. It's interesting because both sides think we're the good guys. Those are the bad guys.
Yeah,
so that's why. But that's why I do this podcast. I try to reveal to people my opinions and my ideology, and make you understand that it's not just what you think it is. Like people like to think that there's no place in the world for right-wing ideology. There's no place in the world for people who are nationalists and who are conservatives, and they just want to equate the people like that to the Nazis, and it's not true.
It doesn't even make sense.
It's not true. And even if your ideology is based off compassion for people and you want to help people, fine. But my point to you is that our ideology has a place in this world. It not only has a place in this world, it is based off truth, logic, and reason.
Absolutely.
It's not what people are pushing down people's throats. That this is right-wing racism and Hitler's 2.0 is, that's not what this is. This ideology that me and Justin has a place on this. It has a purpose, and it is a good ideology.
Yeah, it's the driving force. I mean, if you want to look at it, the right is ideology comes from Judeo-Christianity. You want to talk about compassion? Who started the first hospitals? Christians. Who started the first, Salvation Army? Christians. I mean, so, to say that the right's not compassionate is just another bold-faced lie. So it's one of those things where the left wants to talk about all the things, all their talking points and all their, the things that they say that sound nice and sound, right, are all lies and false narratives. And that's what we're trying to, to talk about and bring that to the light. I want to be driven by facts. If things shift and facts change, then I could end up on the left someday. The way that things are headed, I doubt it, but you never know. You could say, 50 years ago, you'd say, well, the left will never be socialist. The left will never want Marxism. Yeah. They'll never want to destroy the nuclear family. Everybody wants a, husband and a wife and children. Yeah. So, all right, well, you want to get into the fail of the week?
Fail of the week comes from the Mediterranean Sea. So Conor McGregor was on his yacht. He was coasting the Mediterranean, visiting Italy, Greece, Spain, Egypt, Israel, Phoenicia, Lebanon, whatever you want to call it. He was out there balling out like crazy. And he gets on TV, he gets an interview, he gets on TV, he's talking about, I'm going to come back to the UFC and I'm going to win, I'm going to be the best fighter of all time, I'm the greatest, look at me, I'm on my yacht, yada, yada, yada. And yada, 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 get it? Yeah. And He gets arrested all of a sudden. 2 days later, after that interview, he gets arrested for attempted sexual assault. Now, I don't know if he's guilty or not. He's been released. I don't know. It could have been an accusation. Now, it's funny because people tell you always believe the person that when they say they did it, when it says it happened, and it's like, okay, fine. I'm not saying that they're not. I'm not saying that they're lying. I'm saying due process is important. So I'm not going to get into the details of what happened until there's proven and whatever, until we know stuff. But either way, it's still a fail because he's out there balling out and he got arrested.
Yeah, it's just funny because he's just like, he's, riding around his yacht thinking he's king of the world. And then 2 days later, he's getting cuffed on that same yacht.
Yeah.
So it's just funny in that sense. All right, well, now to something a little bit more light and on the nice side of things, the hero of the week. Hero of the week comes from Waterbury, Connecticut. An 18-year-old, his name was Justin Gavin, saved a mother and her 3 children from a burning car. So he saw the car was on fire. He went, he pulled the mother and 3 children out of the car, saved their lives. And it's just an awesome story.
Yeah, it is.
With all the bad news and all the the bad things going on in the world with the rioting and looting and all that, it's nice to actually see that there is still good things happening and there are people that are still want to help out. And when that moment strikes, they are actually willing to do the right thing and help. Yeah. So awesome, Justin Gavin, you are the hero of the week.
Yeah, that's good. And you know what? Every week we always find something like that. It's happening in the world. There are good people out there. There are good things that are happening in the world, despite what CNN and MSNBC wants to push. They want to tell you about the one person that got tragically killed by a police officer when 300 police officers that same day saved someone's life.
Yeah.
But that one cop, they want to make you think that's what every cop is doing. So get out there and riot.
Yeah, the mainstream media is just all they do is talk about the bad stuff.
Dude,
they're
literally producing terrorism in our country.
Yeah,
and we're gonna get into that because I want to lead up to that and why that sounds like a crazy thing to say. Well, why the media is producing terrorism in the country? They are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and we're gonna get into that.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, I'm gonna swing it over to you and let's talk about what happened yesterday.
Okay, so I don't know when you guys are going to see this. Today is September 12th. Yesterday was September 11th. So 19 years ago, September 11th, 2001, was when the Twin Towers were struck by commercial airlines. Another one, the Pentagon. Another one, an open field that was overtaken by the passengers, and they crashed in an open field. So obviously, that was a tragic day in our country's history. And, when that was happening, it was a tragic thing. But the September 12th and the days to follow actually, really turned things around. It united our country. And September 12th and 13th and 14th, you went to the store to buy a flag. American flags were sold out everywhere. Everyone went out, bought American flags, was waving American flags. We were all united. We all wanted to push forward, be a strong country. Pick ourselves up, just dust off our bootstraps and just get back to work and get back to building up our country.
Right.
And that was a really powerful thing to see out of tragedy come something good.
Right.
So, and then the slogan, in the days that followed September 11th was, "We will never forget."
Right.
Now, I want to say something. Police officers are heroes. They really are. They're the ones that keep us safe. They're the ones that keep the people who can't protect themselves safe. Women, children, whatever, disabled people, whoever it is. The people that can't defend themselves, that's what the police and law enforcement are there for.
And it goes to the fire department as well. They're
Absolutely
included in that.
Absolutely. All first responders.
People.
The reason I'm singling out police is because
the
police are the ones being hated on now.
Right.
Where the other first responders aren't. People still like firefighters. People still like EMTs. People still like,
No, I agree with that.
Yeah. So the cops are the ones that do the dirty work. They're the ones that do the work that a lot of people don't want to do. They're the ones that deal with criminals every single day. They're the ones keeping us safe. They're the ones that are defending, the people who can't defend themselves. And so that is a fact. Now, after 9/11, the police were treated as the heroes that they are. Fast forward 19 years, the police are public enemy number one. Everyone hates the police, thinks they're racist, thinks they're terrible, thinks they're out hunting people just for the color of their skin, which is all complete nonsense.
Right.
So they say we will never forget, but it seems like in 19 years, a lot of the country has forgotten.
What happened with? So this is totally local. What I'm about to get into here in Buffalo, there was a message that got sent out to phones in the area of Tonawanda, right, or Buffalo, wherever.
Yep.
And the message came out at exactly 9:11 a.m. on 9/11.
Yep.
So that people are. What is this? An Amber Alert? What is this?
Yeah.
And it says, "Wash your hands, COVID."
Yeah. I was at work and my phone starts making that beeping noise, and I thought it was an Amber Alert, and I look at my phone. And
forget about 9/11. It's COVID now.
Yeah.
COVID.
COVID. Wash your hands.
Let's put this in perspective, right? Now, all the people that lost their lives because of COVID-related illnesses, it's tragic. One person is bad. This is a horrible thing that's going on in this country. It's a horrible thing what China did, by the way. It shouldn't have happened, right? Like Trump says, this shouldn't have happened. What China did was horrible. He's right, though.
We should keep the blame on China.
But here's what I wanted to talk about, is putting in perspective of what happened on 9/11 in 2001. People woke up that morning, kissed their husbands and wives goodbye, went to work like they always do, and all of a sudden, a plane gets driven into a building in New York City, and then another one right after that, a couple hours later, hits there. Then another plane, Pennsylvania. Then another plane, the Pentagon. I mean, so people don't understand what's going on. This is completely unprecedented, what's going on in America, on American soil, right? So you got people on the top of the buildings on the World Trade Center who can't breathe because of all the smoke and all the rubble and everything. And they're literally jumping off buildings so that they can not die a slow death.
Yeah.
And we're watching this on TV. I was 11 years old when this happened, 10 years old when this happened. And I'm watching this on TV. And I'm like blown away by this. Can this happen in this world? This is something that you would never dream of in a nightmare. Never. Can you imagine hurling yourself to your death because you don't want to die because of smoke inhalation or because falling from a building from a different story because the building's getting crushed? Can you imagine making that decision in your life? Or calling your husband or wife or your kids and saying, "I love you, goodbye."
Yeah. And the same thing with the people that were on the hijacked planes.
So guess what?
They called their families, a lot of them stuck on their cell phone and called their families, say goodbye. And then you do have the one plane where the passengers actually overtook the hijackers.
In Pennsylvania.
And they crashed the plane. They knew they were going to die.
That was the closest one here in Buffalo.
They crashed in an open field, and just to save another one of, not only save countless lives, but also save another. They were definitely had another target.
It was targeting somewhere.
Yeah, it was they definitely had a target. And
but check this out. This is what we're up against. We're up against these people in power who are just completely anti-American. They're pro-UN. They're anti-American, and they're whatever. I want to make this point real quick. Ilhan Omar, she comes over here from Yemen or I think it's Yemen, Somalia. Sorry, Somalia, right next to Yemen. She comes over from Somalia, gets elected in Congress, and uses her platform to say, this is what she says, quote, I'm going to show you this too.
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
Some people did something. Some people just decided to do something, kill thousands of people. And we're just going to, why are we still talking about this? That's what she said.
Yeah. I mean,
blows my mind. She's still in office.
Yeah. It's because of the way that the left has shifted. I mean, at least with 9/11, we had a foreign terrorist organization. We knew who the enemy was. We knew, who we were fighting against. But now these terrorist organizations have infiltrated our country. And now people don't want to see them for what they are. Right. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, they are domestic terrorist organizations.
Okay, before anyone gets crazy and says, what are you talking about? They're domestic. Let me just show a clip real quick. All right, this is a little compilation that I just put together of just in the last couple weeks of Black Lives Matter Antifa people going around in your neighborhoods and getting their message heard. Here it goes. So now let's define the word terrorism, domestic terrorism, right? What does the word terrorism mean? People think terrorism means Islamic bombings and stuff like that. No, it's not what that means. That's an form of extreme terrorism, yes, but terrorism is more than that. Terrorism, the act of terrorism, is installing fear into a group of people and using that tactic to bully and to push your narrative or your ideology or your power upon the others.
Yeah, the people a lot of times they think just something terrible is automatically terrorism. No, it has to be in the pursuit of political aim.
Yes.
And that's what separates just some crazy person who decides to go shoot up a school.
Right.
Why aren't they called a terrorist? Because they don't have a political aim.
Right.
Now, when we're talking about, ISIS or al-quaida or whatever, they have a political aim. They're terrorists. When we're talking about BLM and Antifa, they're domestic terrorists, right, because they have a political aim.
Right.
They want to get Trump out of office, and they want to, come to power. They want the Democrats to take power, and that is the definition of terrorism.
And so our media and our education system brainwashes kids at a young age to tell them and basically raises them and forms them into these little terrorists, basically. Yeah. And like they tell them, oh, look, because of the color of your skin, everyone hates you. Everyone's scared of you. Everyone thinks you're a monster. Oh, look the prison population. They're all innocent. They didn't do anything wrong. They're just white people that hate them. They're everyone. It's all, you're the victim. You're the victim. Now stand up, and it's okay. It's okay for you to do whatever you want, and you're validated because of who you are.
Yeah.
So I just want to show something real quick. And if you think I'm lying, if you think people aren't being manipulated into thinking this way, here's another little clip to show you our education system is brainwashing kids, right? Real quick.
My skin is not a threat. It's funny how the world has different time zones. How it could be Saturday on this side of the world and Friday somewhere else. Yet somehow, the United States of America is stuck in 1920. That was 100 years ago. Yet we're still fighting for our lives. Know for a fact they love our culture. They love to steal our braids, the way we talk, anything we call ours. But when it's that one white bad cop and that one innocent black person, that black person fears for their life. This is the world we live in. See, when I was younger, teachers used to ask kids what they wanted to be when they grew up. Some kids said famous. I was one of those kids. But now I changed my answer. The thing I want to be when I grow up.
That's just one example. There's a million of how our education and how our media pushes the narrative that we live in a racist country. We're stuck in 1920. If we were stuck in 1920, why is everybody why are Jim Crow laws gone? Why do we have a black president? Why do we have black judges? Why is everyone allowed to use the same bus right now? Back then it wasn't like that. So you're the one stuck in 1920. You're the one that wants to be stuck in 1920 because you want to make the narrative that this is a victim culture and these people are validated, and then you use them as little political ploys to go out and ravage the streets and make it appear that this country is divided right now because of the president, when in all reality it's you, the media, that's dividing the country. 100%. There's no debate there.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously I don't like what Antifa and BLM is doing, but sometimes I think about it like, wow, it's hard to even blame these kids because from a young age, the academia, the schools, and the mainstream media have been brainwashing these kids from
it's not their
4
fault.
years old.
It's not their fault. It's the scorners that are teaching them these things.
Exactly. It's the people in power that they know that they're using the mainstream media as a propaganda arm of the Democratic Party. Yeah. It's the people and the at the head of academia that know that they're brainwashing children.
Do you know there's a CIA report? I'll show it if I have it. There's a CIA report of incidences where we know that people like there's influences from China and Russia and Europe that are literally their job is to come over here and just shake things up and make it appear that everything over here is horrible and everything is just bad and people in America are in ruins. That's their job.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, they want to destabilize. They want the world's perception of America to be, they're not stable. Yeah, they're awful.
Like
they're terrible. They're unstable.
If you just pull up some kid from Sweden, some kid in high school, 18, 17 years old, and say, "What do you think about America? How's the social status in America?" They're like, "Oh, America's so racist." They think that everyone here is racist. Yep. They do, and that's what's being pushed out there. And it's not true. It's not true. The racism exists. Yes, it does exist. There are a lot of racists in America. There's also black racists. There's everything. But that's all they focus on.
Yeah.
They think the majority of this country is good.
Absolutely. And it's funny because the Republicans and the right never talk about skin color, never talk about race because it doesn't matter.
Right. They're not showing statistically.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to us.
Right.
The Democrats can't ever speak without using skin color and race.
Yep.
So who are the racists? Who's trying to divide the country? I mean, it's just baffling to me that the Republicans and the people on the right are just automatically called racists for no reason. And then the people on the left who, they think that they're, righteous and all that. It's just like, all you guys do is talk about race.
Right.
Like whether white privilege. If you think that you're better than somebody because you're white, you're the racist.
Yeah.
The whole thing is just wild to me, especially when you go back throughout history. The Democrats are the one that fought to keep slavery. Democrats are the one that instituted, all the racist laws that we ever did have on the books.
Yep.
All of them are gone now.
Separate
obviously.
but equal. Separate but equal was a Democrat idea.
Biden is a segregationist.
Yeah.
He won't even deny that he was a segregationist, and his mentor was a Klansman. So it's just, it's crazy how people don't know history, and then they're literally just falling for the left's
Elon
antics.
Omar and AOC are openly anti-Semitic.
Yep.
They
don't even
hide that.
Nope, they don't even hide it, and nobody cares about that.
Speaking of Israel, too, and this goes back to 9/11. So let's go back to 9/11 for a second, right? What 9/11 started was a campaign in the Middle East. And it was already going on. So this goes back to the 80s and the 70s. There's always been U.S. intervention as well as Russian intervention in the Middle East. And there's always been lines drawn in every country. It's Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Lebanon, name it. The whole Middle East, there's lines being drawn. It's usually the Sunnis and the Shiites. There's also the Kurds. There's also individual groups like ISIS that form. And what I'm basically getting at is now 9/11 happens, and now it gets serious. Now we're really involved in the Middle East. So over the years, Obama and Bush, they have their policies, and they go out and they do these things, and they invade countries, and it turns out, no weapons of mass destruction here. Sorry.
Those weapons of mass destruction got to be somewhere. Nope, no weapons over there. Maybe under here. Oops.
Obama decides, and this is, believe it or not, this is actually, I read into this, Hillary Clinton said that it was her idea to arm the rebels against Assad. So for some reason they pick Assad, right? Now, Bashar al-Assad, who is he? A lot of people, right off the bat, they think he's a dictator who gasses his own people. Why do they say that? Because the media tells them that.
Yeah.
But then you find out from UN reports that the gassing attack was actually by rebels, people from ISIS, and they framed it to be him. But they don't ever tell you that in the U.S. media because Bashar al-Assad is the bad guy. So Bashar al-Assad, who is he? He's a secular president of Syria who allows women to dress however they want. You can wear a bathing suit and go to the beach, and the Islamic extremists hate him.
Well, because of that.
Because of that,
yeah,
right.
You can wear a two-piece bathing suit as a woman in the Middle East.
He's the only president in the entire Middle East that allows that.
That's unheard of.
Besides Israel.
That's unheard of.
Unheard of.
Yeah.
So he allows that, right? So somehow, for some reason, the Clinton and the Biden Obama regime, let's call him a regime, they make him as the enemy. Okay? So Obama, this is okay, so now, you can even look this up. Even Snopes.com said this was mostly false, right? That's what they do. This is their tactics. They'll say this claim about Obama funding the rebels is mostly false. Then you click on it and it says, but here's what's true about it, right? In a mission called Fallen Timber Sycamore, a CIA mission, they were providing training and weapons to Syrian rebels to fight against Bashar al-Assad. CNN.com also noted that Hillary Clinton had the idea to give to Obama, and Obama agreed that we should fund these rebels. And guess what? They even knew that the names of the rebels was ISIL back then. Here's a clip of Obama back in 2013 talking about we should fund ISIL against Assad. Here's that clip real quick.
As I've said before, this aspect of our strategy was moving too slowly, but the fall of Ramadi has galvanized the Iraqi government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
Okay, so that's crazy.
Yeah, he actually said he was funding and arming ISIL and other rebels.
Yes.
You know.
So why are we funding Islamic rebels against a president who's secular and who is really not a bad guy?
He's pro-women rights. He's the only one in the Middle East other than Israel that lets women, are equal, and let them do what they want.
And most people, even people on the left, don't even understand this. They think Assad, bad. He gasses people. Terrorist. He's a dictator. They have no idea. None of them even look this up.
They don't even know who he is.
They don't even look in the facts.
They don't even know who he is.
Right. So we have Obama admitting that he funded rebels, gave them missiles, gave them whatever weapons they wanted.
Missiles,
go in and take over
guns.
Damascus.
Yeah.
They took over Damascus. They took over Aleppo. They took over all of Syria during Obama's administration. So Obama leaves the White House with, and if you don't believe me, check this out. In 2016, who was the front runner for the Libertarian Party, right? We all remember that his name, Gary Johnson. Remember dumb Gary Johnson? And when the CNN interviewer asked him, what should we do about Aleppo? What was his response? Here it is.
What would you do if you were elected about Aleppo?
About
Aleppo.
And what is Aleppo?
You're kidding.
No.
Aleppo is in Syria. It's the epicenter of the refugee crisis.
Okay, got it. Got it.
Okay.
Right.
So now, why did I just show you that video? What does it have to do with what I'm talking about? Here's why I'm showing you that video. Gary Johnson had no idea what Aleppo even was. He has no idea. He was an idiot. The biggest crisis in the world back then was ISIS in 2016.
Yeah.
During the presidential run, that was one of the biggest questions about what our president is going to do about ISIS. Gary Johnson had no idea who they even were, what was going on back then. Trump gets asked the same questions. What does he say? He said he's going to wipe ISIS off the map. So we know, this is proof right here. ISIS was a huge threat in 2016 when Obama was leaving office. He created that monster.
Yeah, they had just started coming to a little bit of power, but they would have never been able to take over massive sections. Like, they took over almost all of Africa.
Yeah.
I mean, they took over.
There was countries in Africa that said, we are ISIS.
Yeah, they took over so much. They would have never been able to do that unless they had all that funding from Obama.
Yep.
So he literally said, okay, here you go. You want tanks, you want missiles, you want guns, you need money.
Right.
Here you go. And
so,
he actually started that monster, ISIS.
Right. So then okay, now now we're going back a little bit. I'm in 2016, but to go back to 2014 to where you were, Obama recognizes. Let's be fair. Obama recognizes ISIS is a problem. I'm not going to say that he was always backing them up the whole time. He wasn't. He turned around. He did a 180 because he was funding them, and then when they decided to start taking over cities and crucifying people and beheading people, and they became the terrorists, then he said, "Oh, whoops, sorry, my bad." And then all of a sudden, Obama changed his tone and said, "We got to be tough on ISIS." But he wasn't. He was not tough on ISIS. He was focused on Assad. He was focused on Assad. That was his main priority. Assad was fighting ISIS. You can't hate both. You can't fight both. It's impossible. You have to pick a side. So we know where his side was. So now let's go back to 2016. Trump gets asked the same questions as Gary Johnson. Trump says, "I'm going to wipe ISIS off the map." The media laughs at this. The media says, "What does Trump know? If he gets in office, he's going to ruin the country. We're going to be in World War III, and all these countries are going to bomb us, and ISIS is going to take over because Obama knows what he's doing, though, right? Obama knows what he's doing. So under Obama, ISIS takes over Damascus and Aleppo and other cities too. They almost took over all of Syria. They were becoming a huge threat on the planet. Trump gets in office, within 1 year, they're gone. You don't even hear about ISIS in the news anymore. They're done.
Yeah.
We're down to 300 troops in Afghanistan right now, pulling them out. Not only did he pull them out, he actually made the military better. He reshaped all of their infrastructure of the military, gave them better funding, gave them better everything, and he sold all the stockpiles of old weapons, sold them all, made billions of dollars for our country.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about that last week, that Atlantic report, which was complete garbage.
Yeah.
Talking about how he said that, like, people that died in the military were losers and suckers. Talk to people in the military. They'll tell you Trump is one of the best presidents, that they have ever seen.
Yeah.
He funded them. This is what people don't realize. You think, oh, you're pouring all this money into your military. That means you're going to use it. You're going to be a warmonger. Right. No, you build up your military so you don't have to use it. So other countries say, wow, they're really powerful. They built up their defenses. We don't want to mess with them. Sometimes it's a good thing to build up your military and you won't even have to use it.
Right.
So he's actually backing
That's
the
what
troops.
I'm saying. So to finish my point, we'll go to break real quick. It's almost finish my point real quick, and you can also add on if you like. What he did is he actually got rid of ISIS, pulled our troops out of the Middle East, gave the Kurds the resources they needed to fight their own battle, because we support the Kurds. The Kurds they're the good guys, but let's face it, they're not the ones beheading people, okay? The Kurds needed our help. We gave them their help. We pulled our troops out. There's a lot of peace going on. The UAE deal gets done. He moves the embassy to Jerusalem. He's making peace in the Middle East like no one's ever seen before in just 3 years' time.
Yeah, every single president has said that they're gonna. Every single president said they're gonna. I'm gonna bring peace to the Middle East. I'm gonna bring peace to the Middle East, and none of them have ever been able to accomplish it. Trump comes in, he gets it done. He strikes the historic peace deal with Israel and the United Arab Emirates. He gets nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize for that.
And North Korea. North Korea was during Obama. North Korea didn't take him seriously at all. Kim Jong-un took Obama no seriousness.
Yeah.
He just constantly talking about shooting missiles off into the ocean. And he didn't care. He wasn't scared of Obama. He was not scared of Obama.
Yeah.
Is he doing that now? Do you see anything like that happening now?
Now that Trump brokers the Israel-UAE deal, now you have Bahrain coming to the table and striking a deal with Israel.
It's getting
and
better
now
and
you're
better.
going to start to see all those dominoes fall.
It's
we
getting
needed
better
one
and
of
better.
the Arab nations to come to the table to get it started.
He was
the
just
UAE
in Iraq.
did that.
He was just in Iraq 2 weeks ago, making a deal. What he's doing is he's looking at what every country wants, and he's trying to find middle ground.
Yeah, and
he is.
You're gonna have full normalization. They're gonna have embassies in each other's countries. They're gonna strike deals for trade and this is gonna help the Middle Eastern economy huge.
Yeah.
Because for years it's like, no, you can't come through our country. You can't fly over our country. No, we won't trade with you. And now full normalization in the Middle East is actually possible.
Yeah.
And a long-lasting peace is possible.
Check this out, and we're gonna go to break on this video. Here's a clip. I just saw this last night, okay? He's a man in the military, Tim Kennedy. He was just on Joe Rogan last night, and he explains it to a T what is happening in the Middle East right now because of Trump's policy. So we'll see you on the other side of break.
We'll be right back.
When Trump was elected, we were 100% still at war. ISIS was thriving, right? All the places that I went and fought in Afghanistan were now controlled by ISIS. Like, do you know how bad that sucks to look at all the places where I remember friends getting hurt, or, like Jocko, the places that he went, like those were occupied by ISIS, physically occupied, and he lost countless friends. Fallujah, Ramadi, Sadr City, all of those places, all of the Syrian border, controlled by ISIS, land that we controlled and fought and then lost. And then thinking about, like, I have to go back in here and do this again, but I have a third amount of the resources to do it. That sucks. Or knowing that, okay, now I'm going to have a guy that is going to back me with the pocketbook to go and win. And that was the choice for me, was I just want to win. I don't want 9/11 to happen again. And that's hard to stop when you're creating vacuums for evil to fill.
And how much of an impact has it had having Trump as president and making those decisions to fund the military better in terms of success overseas?
I mean, we smashed ISIS in a year. 1 year. They rose for 3 and started gaining ground, the ISIS caliphate, into all of the Middle East. Like, they were popping up. We had people swearing allegiance to ISIS in Africa. Like the Boko Haram was like, yeah, we're ISIS now. Like, what? Are you kidding me? And that cancerous plague spreading all over the world because we weren't aggressively, with vigilance, fighting those ideas. Then, November rolled around, 2016, and it was at February of 2017, it was like, go. And it was off. We're literally smashing them at every single opportunity, dropping the biggest bomb, in Taliban, the JDAM, or the Moab? Yeah. But that's pretty cool. I just dropped the bomb next to the size of the nuclear weapon. That's awesome.
And this is all because of Trump getting into office and funding the military.
Yeah. So the president comes out with this national strategic plan, and that goes to a bunch of different things, from Department of Defense to Department of State, and every single one of these look to that idea, that document, as to how they're going to operate. And then you have the appointees to those positions, like Mattis, for example, where then he interprets what the intent is from, like, the executive plan, and then for Department of Defense, how are we going to fulfill that? And then that goes to all of the regional commanders and to all the special operations units, and then missions are built off of fulfilling these ideas. And those ideas were smash ISIS, remove radical terrorists off the planet, and provide security and stability with all of our partners, and then grow who our partners are. So like in Africa, if you went back 5-6 years, you would have 3 or 4, 5 countries that were part of this group of regional Africans wanting to be free, right? Like, they don't want Boko Haram or al-Qaida or ISIS coming in and telling them what to do. They want a free constitutional government. So we started helping. Now there's like a dozen of those countries that are part of this group, and they're all doing the work. And it's amazing. It's amazing to see what happens in just a couple of years in any one of these countries when they start doing the work. It's no different than a person, right? But it's a group of people, and they're all believing in these ideas of freedom, of education, of prosperity, and we're just creating an opportunity for those to be realized.
This is not a message that gets out enough. What you're saying right now about the importance of funding the military, about all the positive aspects of these operations, and about how squashing these fundamentalist terrorist groups can lead to democracy in all these places and can lead to flourishing schools and growth of these individual areas.
Yeah.
This is not a message that gets out enough.
No, I mean, and that's by design a little bit.
And welcome back to part 2 of FLT All Things Truth. Dude, yeah, man. Just I want to keep keeping our attention on 9/11 and our military, our police, terrorism, which is mostly domestic right now, because overseas has pretty much been squandered by our current president.
Yeah, Trump really he promised he was going to wipe ISIS out, and he wiped ISIS out.
Right, and he's making peace over there.
Absolutely, and we were talking about that right before the break, and it's just
you know what?
Go ahead.
No, my bad. This is real quick. I just want to make this point. People are focusing on this election, and all they want to talk about is coronavirus. Our president, his main power is to be the head of the military. That's the main objective of the president. He's the executive branch. Okay, he's not the policy. Like we have different branches, right? We have our judicial branch. You know what I'm saying? We have different, not even just our branches. Let me bounce off that for a second. We have our CDC. We have our EPA. We have Environmental Protection Agency. We have Center for Disease Control. This is a privatized nation. We the people do things. We the people decide things. We can't blame a president for a virus. So we have to look at what is he doing as a military leader. All good things. The CDC is who we should blame. Blame ourselves for things we got wrong with this virus. Let's look. I mean, everybody wants to point that Trump is saying he lied to people and he did all these things that caused all these deaths. But wasn't Anthony Fauci saying that it's not as bad as the flu? We should worry more about the flu.
Dr. Fauci, coronavirus, of course, has been in the news so much. People are worried. Should they be worried? Are they worried unnecessarily? And what should they be doing?
No, I don't think people should be frightened. I mean, the risk right now, today, currently, is really relatively low for the American public. But so right now, don't worry about it. Be more concerned about influenza, which is going into a second peak for the season, than coronavirus. But keep it.
Wasn't it Nancy Pelosi saying that we should all be in Chinatown having a good old time?
You should come to Chinatown. Precautions have been taken by our city. We know that there's a concern about tourism traveling all throughout the world, but we think it's very safe to be in Chinatown and hope that others will come.
Trump, they say, oh yeah, he wasn't taking it serious. Well, like you just said, Fauci early on said there was nothing to worry about.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. My point is we're looking at the wrong things of what we should be looking at for electing a president. Now look at Biden. He's in a basement. Dude, he's not the same Biden as he was a couple years ago.
No,
now,
you can tell completely.
That just reminds me about Joe Biden. I got a clip of Joe Biden in 2012 talking about his successful brain surgery.
You're going to play it, right?
I don't know if let's play it right now.
I had 2 cranial aneurysms. And they literally had to take the top of my head off. I mean, they take a saw and they cut your head off and go in to find the artery that is, one was leaking, the other that hadn't before it burst. There's this, those of you who are docs know there's every profession has their sick jokes. The joke among docs is, how do you know someone's had an cranial aneurysm? On the autopsy table. Only 20% of the people haven't even get to the table.
That is who your choice is for presidential election.
Yeah.
Now just look at Biden and take any clip of Biden. Pick whichever one you want from the last 2 years or last year, let's say, while he's been running for president. So pick any Joe Biden clip which you want. Then take a clip of Joe Biden 5 years ago. He looks like you ever met two brothers? One of them's an idiot. One of them's kind of like normal. He looks like the dumb brother of the old Joe Biden. He looks like something's wrong with him, dude.
So I knew for a fact that his mental faculties were shot. I knew that he had Alzheimer's, or I knew that he must have had dementia. I didn't know though that he had brain surgery, and they're clearly hiding that.
I'm laughing at. I'm trying to imagine him making peace deals in the Middle East like Trump's doing right now.
They're completely hiding, obviously, that fact.
Bad.
So
it's bad. It's not funny either.
Now it all makes sense. I already knew he must have had Alzheimer's or dementia. Now it makes sense. That's clearly what, started it. That brain surgery, clearly less oxygen to the brain, damage to the brain. That clearly put him onto early onset Alzheimer's or, dementia. It's all adding up now.
Like, let's be real.
I mean, he was even talking.
There even a debate?
He finally came out of the basement to do one interview, and he's talking about how, oh yeah, Trump called me Slow Joe and blah blah blah, and if you can't tell the difference between me and him just by listening to both of us speak, and then he completely blanks
Falls
and
off.
loses his train of thought.
He does.
Like, you're talking about how Trump's saying you're Slow Joe,
and then you became Slow Joe.
Exactly. You come out of the basement one time to do one interview, and you can't even not be Slow Joe for one interview. And especially when you're trying to debunk Trump's narrative about Slow Joe, and he's just like, and he does that every time. Like, every clip I've seen of him, he just blanks.
Dude, he's not fit.
No.
Like, I'm not even just being biased. Like, how do I explain this? It's common sense. Your choices are between a guy who's cutting our taxes, who's deregulating the market, and who's literally making peace deals in the Middle East, compared to a guy who's been in our government for 50 years. All he's done is the Joe Biden crime bill, which everybody hates, by the way.
And he denounces it now.
Yeah.
So the one thing that you did that you could put your name on,
he doesn't even know where city he's in half the time. Dude, it's a problem. It's an issue. I don't get it.
No,
I just don't understand why everyone's so focused on Trump and coronavirus.
It's like, because the media is using coronavirus to distract people.
Yeah.
They don't want people to look into Joe Biden. They need to be able to keep Joe Biden in the basement. How do you do that? You keep saying that it's not safe to go out. It's not safe to have rallies. It's not safe to do this because of COVID.
If we were voting for a dictator, if we were voting for which dictator is better, then maybe Trump is not a good. Trump doesn't decide all of our policy for coronavirus. Why are we pretending that?
Yeah.
Why are we acting like this president does everything?
It doesn't.
He
make
doesn't
sense.
do everything.
No.
He only has certain powers.
When he actually
and all those things that are within his powers, he's doing is right.
When he actually does something that he should get credit for, they don't give credit to him. Something that he has nothing to do with, they blame it on him.
It's his fault. Yep.
COVID is really nothing to do with
him. They're blaming him for the forest fires in California.
Yeah.
Saying that it's his fault because of climate change. Dude, the United States has the biggest drop off in CO2 levels since we left the Paris climate deal. We had more of a drop off. We have.
Well, yeah, the Paris climate deal doesn't mean anything.
The banning of single plastics. he was supported the banning of single plastics.
Yeah.
He's kind of an environmentalist.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he's like super climate change activist. He's not like that, but he's looking at the facts.
Yeah. Well, he's reasonable.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if this makes sense and it's going to help, then I'm for it.
Yeah.
He's a businessman. He's
He's
reasonable. He knows how to make deals. Like,
he's economy first, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean that if you disagree with something, like let's say you're all about climate change and you can't stand his policies, that's fine. We have a government. We have a Senate. We have a House of Representatives. He doesn't do everything, but he's a great military leader. All the things that a president is supposed to do, he's a good deal maker.
Yep.
Other countries take him seriously. Joe Biden would not be taken seriously.
Speak to people.
That's what you're supposed to look at. Those are the things you look at for a president.
People should speak to active military and say, okay, when you did your first term under Obama, you did your second term under Trump. What were the differences?
And resounding, most of them will tell you it's better now.
Absolutely, especially if they were there for both. We were watching a video of Joe Rogan with Tim Kennedy, and he even said before, with Obama as president, they didn't even have enough ammo to do like practice and testing.
They were using old rifles that were already used.
Yeah, and he said it was a major difference. It went from using old guns and not having enough ammo even for target practice and practicing and simulations. And he said, and then a couple years later, with Trump in presidency, we have brand new armor, brand new weapons. We're fully funded. Now we can go and win wars that we were losing before under Obama.
Now I want to hone in on that topic right now for a second. So under Obama, we were paying more taxes, but our military was getting less funding. Not only that, our military was getting less funding. Americans are paying more taxes, and more people were dying overseas. We had more troops over there. under Trump, this is a triple whammy right here. Under Trump, we're paying less taxes. Our military has more funding, but we have less people dying overseas. He's doing the right thing.
Yeah, not only less people dying overseas, less people overseas, period.
Dude.
I mean, in the Middle East, we were down to, 300 troops?
Yeah. And we're not policing everybody. What we're doing is we're putting resources in countries that are desolate, that need help, and letting them rebuild themselves.
Well, and that's what makes sense, because that's the only way for lasting. Otherwise, we'd have to stay there forever.
Right.
If you want us to run things in these other countries, and you want us to police these other countries, we could never leave.
And that's another thing.
We need them to be self-reliant.
Another thing that Tim Kennedy was saying was that was the goal back then. The goal was to stay. The goal was to keep things disorder. The goal was to create chaos, not order. It's the exact opposite under Trump. Before Trump, it doesn't matter if it's Biden, it doesn't matter if it's Obama, Bush, Clinton, go all the way back to right after Ronald Reagan. Anything between Ronald Reagan and Trump, they all had the same foreign policy. It was almost like we had one party for 20 years. Seriously, they all had the same policy in the Middle East, and it was not good. It was not working. It was failure, complete failure. It was just create chaos and support, and then support the rebels and create chaos, and then we can stay there. We can take the oil and we can make the war profitable. Yay! This is what we were living under for 20 years, and it's changing now, and they do not like that.
Yeah, and it's just funny because when Trump was running for president, they said he was a warmonger. He was going to get us into endless wars.
Right.
And I just read something the other day. He's the first president since Ronald Reagan to not bring us into a war or an international conflict.
Right.
And that's
and
incredible.
And to pull us out, too.
Yeah, so I mean...
Afghanistan, there's 300 people there right now. United States military. 300.
Yeah, he's actually a really good commander-in-chief, and it's just...
Dude, we have skeleton crews overseas that are doing more work than we did when we had complete chaos over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just... and then, the media, this is strategic. They want you to focus on COVID.
Right.
They want you to focus on all this stuff, so you're not looking at the big picture.
Right.
Because if you look at the big picture and you look at what Trump has done and what his policies are, you look at what Biden has done, what his policies are, Biden's list is honestly empty.
Dude,
he has no policies. He's done nothing in 50 years in government except the crime bill, the 94 crime bill, which he denounces now. So literally, it's empty. It's like all he says is, Trump is a bad man and I'm a nice guy and I'll do a better job. And okay, how?
Okay, how? You were there for 50 years.
Yeah, how are you going to do a better job? Tell me.
What are you going to
you know the thing.
The funny part about it is that when they say elect me, I'm going to do a better job. Compared to what? We already know what you do. You were our vice president for 8 years. Before that, you were in the Senate for I don't know how many years.
Yeah.
As long as I've been alive, he's been in our government. So what are you going to do different?
The 8 years that Obama was president, the rest of the world did not respect us. They did not fear us. They did not respect us. They did whatever they wanted, and they didn't care. They weren't worried about the U.S., the backlash from the U.S. Now, that was with Obama's president. Biden is even worse. Could you imagine if he was the president? I mean, he doesn't even have his faculties to him. At least Obama. Listen, I'm not a fan of Obama. He did a lot of stuff wrong. But at least he had his wits about him. Biden doesn't even know what's going on. Yeah. How could he possibly be commander-in-chief? How could he possibly protect us and be the leader of the free world? It literally wouldn't happen.
And then you got crazy Kamala Harris as his vice president, who laughs about putting people in jail for skipping school. She's laughing about it.
Yeah.
Kamala's going to put you and me in jail.
Said if you don't go to school, Kamala's going to put you and me in jail. Yes, we achieved intended effect.
She's got that evil laugh.
Dude, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes am I crazy? Am I the only one that sees this? And no, I'm not, because there's a lot of people that agree with me about this.
But I truly think that is the plan. They know that Biden has dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever, and they know that he could never be president. So as soon as he wins, they're going to bring up that 2012 brain surgery, and they're going to bring up they're going to give him mental tests, and they're going to remove him immediately, and Kamala Harris is going to be your president.
Yeah.
So, socialist, Marxist Kamala Harris will be the president.
Not even joking, not even trying to be funny. Joe Biden has mental problems.
Yeah.
Dementia, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
It's actually sad that
but
they're
you
willing
can
to use
just
him.
all you have to do, and I'm telling you, I really want you guys to do this on your own. Just go to YouTube and type in Joe Biden, find the newest video you can find, watch that video, and then keep that video right in the top of your head, and remember how he was acting, what he sounded like, how many times did he stutter, and then go back to YouTube, type in Joe Biden 2010. I don't know, pick a year, 2009.
Yeah, anything prior to 2012.
It's like a different person.
Yeah.
There's no difference in Trump between now and 2016. He's the same. He's the same off the cuff.
And you can, and it's
he's
not,
an egomaniac. We can all agree on that.
It's not
we know
just
that.
Biden's old. Though.
You don't care
You
about
can
that.
tell it's more than just old age.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
And it's sad to me.
I didn't even realize till just now that, since I saw that video of him talking about his successful brain surgery.
Yeah.
He just had brain surgery.
I want to say
him to
he's
be president.
78 years old, and he's
elect-
had brain surgery.
Yeah, something like that. And when you elect a president, you're not just thinking about that year. Like, people are electing Joe Biden just to get Trump out of office. That's all you're thinking about is the first day of office. We're thinking about 8 years now.
You got to look at least 4 years ahead and possibly 8.
But you should be thinking about 8. Though.
Absolutely.
When you elect a president, you want an 8-year term.
Usually 2 terms.
I mean,
Yep.
that's what you're not going to. I want a president for 4 years. That means you don't like him.
Exactly. Yep.
So think about could he last 8 years?
No
let
way.
alone 4.
No.
Let alone the rest of this year.
He won't.
Is he going to last in November till November?
He wouldn't last 8 months.
Is he going to? Here's the real question: is he going to debate Trump?
I think
That's
he's
what I
going
wanna
to.
talk
So
about.
I think he's going to have to.
He's going to have to, but
I mean, he's been hiding a lot. But eventually, people are going to be like, "Look, I'm not going to vote for you just because you asked me to.
Right.
Like, I need to see something from you. I need to see you debate Trump. I need to hear about your policies." People are not. People have been deceived by
Trump's
the
gonna
mainstream
destroy
media.
him.
People have been deceived by the mainstream media, but they're not idiots. I mean, they're going to start to realize, look, everything's opening back up, and you're still trying to use COVID to hide in the basement. What's going on here?
I remember the debates. I remember a lot of debates. I remember Trump decimated Hillary Clinton, crushed her.
Yeah.
The media was like, "Oh, Hillary Clinton won."
No way.
I'm like, "What? Am I the only one that watched this?"
Yeah, I remember that one too.
Pence.
He destroyed it.
Pence wrecked Kane too.
Yep,
They both.
he did,
It was a really good debate.
Yeah.
And then Ted Cruz during the. This is why this is not happening anymore. For some reason, it's all controlled now because of COVID. But 2016, we even saw a debate between Ted Cruz and Bernie Sanders, and Ted Cruz absolutely, utterly, and okay, I'll admit, I don't talk about this a lot. In 2016, 2015 too, I was sort of on the left. I actually thought Bernie was pretty good. I wasn't, okay, now I didn't do a lot of research back then. I'm telling you the truth. I used to like Bernie Sanders. Oh, here's this populist guy that wants to fight the 1%. That sounds good to me. And then you know what? Do you know what my turning point was? It was actually Ted Cruz. I saw Ted Cruz. I go, look at this guy. He's so goofy looking. Look at the Republican. They're such idiots, these Republicans. And then I watched him debate Bernie Sanders, and I was like, whoa, that was some truth right there. Destroyed him.
Yeah.
And no one ever talks about that.
And then, not to be biased, like we're only talking about Republicans destroying Democrats, but Tulsi Gabbard
Destroyed Kamala Harris.
Yes. If they were, if their party had any integrity and they truly cared about like presenting the best candidate, it would have been Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
She destroyed all of them, and in my opinion, they were never going to allow her to be the Democratic, nomination for president because they couldn't control her.
Right.
That's what I personally think.
They actually used to love her. They gave her the reins as the DNC chairperson, which is the highest up in the Democrat Party besides, president or vice president. But like when the DNC chairperson is the head of the DNC. Right now it's what's his name?
Well, Speaker of the House is above them too, though.
Well, no, I'm talking about just the DNC party, not talking about government.
Oh, okay.
The DNC party it's the chairperson who's what's his name again? I gotta look it up now. I'll forget it. Let's go back. She was the DNC chairperson, which is the highest in the DNC outside of government seats, and she had that job, and they took it from her because she was not. And she'll say this. She said this on camera. She said it a bunch of times. The reason why she lost her seat. The reason why she lost her spot as the DNC chairperson was because she was not willing to play partisan politics. They wanted her to play for the party. That's it.
Yeah,
she said, no, I'm going to be across the aisle. They said, all right, you can't do this job then.
They wanted her to fall in line. They wanted to control her.
Yeah.
And that's why they wouldn't nominate her for president, even though she was by far the best candidate. I mean, she actually, in my opinion, would be able to debate Trump and hold her own.
Dude,
like,
of course.
she destroyed all of them.
Well, here's the
Biden,
thing.
Kamala Harris,
This
Elizabeth
is how you
Warren.
know.
She killed them
This
all.
is how you know that the Democrats don't care about America.
No.
First of all, we're talking about the party of the super delegates. Okay, so your vote in the primaries does not matter. It's a poll. They take your poll and then they decide. Super delegates means they decide. It means that your primary vote is just a poll. It's nothing more than a CNN poll.
Yeah. Even if someone wins, they don't have to
nominate. They don't have to. They do whatever they want. So the Republican Party does not use super delegates. The Republican Party uses the votes.
Yep.
So now remember that. We're talking about, first of all, let's start off with that. Second of all, this is how you know they don't care about America. You had Tulsi Gabbard, okay? Minority woman. So there's two check marks for being progressive. A minority, a woman. She served in the military for 8 years. She was the DNC chairperson. She works across the aisle. She's very logical and smart. And they said, nope.
Yeah.
Nope, we want the white man, Joe Biden.
You're not going to fall into line. You're not going to, stick by the party lines.
Right.
You're not going to let us control you.
So
not going to happen.
That right there, I lost all respect for the Democrat Party. I'll never, until they completely blow up and start over again, ever vote for Democrat again.
Yeah. Another thing, actually, to get into that, like how we're talking about the Democrats don't care about the American people.
Right.
The Democrats just blocked another COVID relief bill. Yeah. So all you Americans that are struggling to get by, struggling to put food on the table, struggling to pay your rent, maybe you haven't found another job yet, the Democrats just blocked another COVID relief bill. The Republicans keep presenting bills. The Democrats keep shooting them down. And the Democrats won't even present a bill themselves or do a counteroffer. You know why? They're weaponizing this and they're politicizing this. They want to destroy the economy. They don't care if all of you Americans suffer. They're willing to destroy the economy so they can blame it on Trump to try and get him out of office in November.
They actually wanted that to happen.
Yeah. No,
everything they want to happen is happening right now.
But how could you say how could you say the Democrats care about you when they're literally withholding money from your family to pay your rent and to put food on the table? They're willing to do that to try and win an election in November.
I saw a friend of mine post something on Facebook and it said, "I can't believe the Republicans think that this is enough money to save people or whatever." And I'm like, okay, that obviously is a media talking point from the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
Because think about it like this. Here's a good analogy. Imagine if you're falling off a cliff and you need a rope, okay? You need a rope to pull you up. And here comes me. I'm the Republican Party. I'm about to throw the rope to you, right? And then you are a Democrat. You come, stop! Don't throw him that rope. We need a better rope.
Yeah, that rope would work.
And then I go, okay, where's the better rope?
I don't have it yet.
I don't have it yet. And then you go over to the person falling and saying, oh, he's not going to save you. He doesn't want to save you.
Yeah, and that's what's actually happening.
That's what's happening.
They're saying, oh, well, it wasn't enough money. Well, I'm pretty sure $300 or $400 a week is better than zero.
Dude,
maybe it's not $600.
They need it now.
But we're also not trying to bankrupt the country.
Nancy Pelosi was talking about we need a long-term deal. No, they need something right now.
Exactly. They just need help to get by right now. Yeah. Once everything opens back up, and the economy rebounds and unemployment gets super low again like it was before, well, the people will be fine. They need help in the meantime.
People who need money don't care. They need something now. Let's
even
do it now.
Even $100 a week would be better than zero. But $300 or $400 is a lot more than zero.
They're going to block it and they're going to blame it on Trump.
So that's what they did. They just blocked another relief bill. They will not accept a relief bill or even come to the table with a relief bill till after November because of politics. They do not care about the American people. They do not care about America, period. They've even said it. We're socialists. Yeah. I mean, they've openly said that. And then the worst part about it is that the media, they spin it. So the media is saying the Republicans failed to pass the bill. That's not what happened. The Democrats keep blocking the bill.
Right.
But because CNN and MSNBC and the mainstream media is the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party, they're going to spin it around and they're just going to headlines. Republicans fail to pass relief bill. Republicans fail to pass relief bill. Except instead of telling the truth and saying that they keep blocking at the Democrats and they refuse to come to the table with an offer.
Right.
So it's just infuriating.
And you know what, though? So Joe Biden constantly always talks about how, China, these are good folk, and we need to be more. Dude, but I'm basically getting at, it's pretty obvious where his allegiance lands. It's not in American populism that we're talking about.
Nope,
it's in the United Nations, the EU, the globalists, and I just wanted to mention something about Joe Biden too. Okay, so we now know this is nothing. This is no conspiracy theory. This is a fact. I can show you 20 sources for this. We know that Donna Brazile, in the 2016 debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, was giving the questions to Hillary Clinton up front. Why does no one talk about that? No one cares. And when it happened, it was like one of those articles about some sports player that, like, on the last page of the paper, like, no one cared about that. That's a huge deal. Yeah. So we already know that's possible. We already know that that's happened in the last election. What makes you think that Joe Biden, in the state that he's in, they're going to go in these debates fairly?
No, they're going to have to give Biden, not only are they going to have to give him the questions ahead of time, they're going to have to give him a teleprompter
Softballs.
with the answers.
Yeah, they're going to throw him softball questions.
They're going to have to give him
Get ready for questions like this. Joe Biden, since you're such a great person, what is the first thing you're going to do to help the American people? And he's going to say, that's the easiest question in the world to say. And then they're going to go to Trump and say, Trump, since you've been caught lying and you do this and that and the third, why can't you help Americans out? Or watch the way they frame these questions.
They've been doing it already. I mean, he hasn't been doing any interviews. He's been hiding in the basement. But whenever he does speak, they literally have kid gloves on with him, the mainstream media. And a lot of times, they give him the answer in the question.
Right.
So all he has to do is just repeat
They throw softball questions at him.
But not this. It's even more than that. They're giving him the answer in the question. It's crazy.
They throw him T-ball questions.
Yeah. It's like, we already got it here. We already got it set up. All you got to do is swing, big boy.
So my question is are they going to get caught again? And if they are going to get caught again this time, we really need to talk. That needs to be front and center. We got to stop playing games. If Trump's held to these standards of, he lied, then we got to be real now. Let's be honest.
Well, I don't know if you saw this, but Joe Biden's, I think it was his campaign manager, went on Fox News. And,
let's
the anchor, let's show it.
Has Joe Biden ever used a teleprompter during local interviews or to answer Q&A with supporters?
Brett, we are not going to engage. This is straight from the Trump campaign.
But yeah, they're using it.
And what it does, Brett, is it's trying to distract the American people.
They're using it. They talk about it every day. Can you say yes or no?
That's because they talk about it every day, Brett, because they don't have a coherent
Well, you have an answer. Yes or no?
Brett, they talk about it every day because they don't have a coherent argument for why Donald Trump deserves re-election, deserves 4 more years. We know that he lied to the American people. We know that he has not shown leadership during this crisis, and they are desperate to throw anything they can against the wall to try to distract from that fact.
I understand, but you can't answer the question.
Brett, I am not going to allow the Trump campaign to funnel their questions through Fox News and get me to respond.
Yeah, so he keeps asking him, have you ever... has he ever used teleprompters, to answer the questions? And the campaign manager refuses to answer the question. And he just keeps saying, those are right-wing talking points. Those are Republican talking points. This just straight out of the Trump campaign. And the anchor says, well, okay, if this is coming out right from the Trump campaign, why not just answer the question?
That's just a regular question. That's a normal question.
Why not
out.
answer the question and put it to bed?
Why was his first reaction to say this is a Trump campaign question? Does that mean that he's getting funneled from the DNC to ask his his reaction was really weird. Like, what makes you think that? Oh, that's why you think that, because that's what you're doing.
But it's funny.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have the guilt.
But
thing?
if it wasn't true, if he wasn't using teleprompters, they would have loved to say no and put it to bed.
His reaction was worse than saying if he would have been like, yeah, he used a teleprompter, no one would have cared. But his reaction was so weird and so that made him look worse.
Yeah, but he didn't want to lie. Like, this is what happened. He didn't want to lie because he didn't want to get caught in a lie, so he just refused to answer. But it made him look so much worse. Yeah. It was really bad. I was just like, everybody knows, even though you're not saying it, by your reaction, everybody knows that it must be true.
And then his response to say, you're just giving us questions from the Trump administration. And I'm like, why would that be a Trump administration question? That's just a question. Yeah. And then I realized, it dawned on me, because they get their questions from the DNC.
Yeah.
So that's why his first reaction was he thought they're doing it too. That's what it was.
They think it's the same. Yeah, exactly. The same way on the other foot. Yeah. Like, so it's just wild. I just don't, I really implore people to look into both candidates. I don't know when this whole like talking points and all this nonsense and all these lies and just smearing the other person was all there was to it. Like, why aren't people looking into this?
Policy.
Yeah, like it's just crazy.
Just look at the policy.
Even if you watch the DNC.
If you think Trump's anti-environmental, show me a policy that demonstrates that.
But if you even watched the DNC, they didn't talk about any policy.
Right, they don't.
They just hated on Trump the whole time and talked about how bad Trump was. It's like, okay, so even if you do think Trump is terrible, okay, so what are you going to do better? Like, that's when they should be feeding policy. Why aren't they? Because their policies are obviously not very popular. Nobody likes their policy, or they don't have any.
Well, in 2016, because Trump was not a politician, so that they had a big question mark, and they fed off that. And they ran off the whole thing of, if he gets elected, we're all going to be, everything's going to be horrible because he doesn't know what he's doing. And then we saw 3 years of a booming economy, better military, tax cuts and deregulation and all these good things happen. So now they totally changed their tone, and it's all about coronavirus. It's all about racism. It's all about lies and this, that, and it's pretty obvious what's going on. But that's pretty much all I got.
Do you want to end it here?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching episode 8 of All Things Truth. If you liked our video, like it, subscribe, comment on it. I just want to say God bless you and God bless America.
And ready? Hold on. Let's disappear and ascend into the heavens.